bill, and I have great pleasure in commending it to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And since Mr. Robertson just did the opening speech on this, and I think we all need to pay credit to Dr. David Clark for the work he's done on this bill. This is actually his bill. I wouldn't let Mr. Robertson take credit for the bill. I know he says it was his bill. No, but no, David Clark is the one that has promoted this bill. David Clark is the one that has done the work on this bill, and it's a bit. I know what you're saying, but Mr. Clark is the one that actually should be promoted here today, not Mr. Robinson. And I think it's strange that the Labour Party now is fighting amongst themselves over who is take the credit for this bill. And that is a very disappointing thing, but it just shows the contempt that the Labour Party holds for its own membership and the way that it treats its colleagues in this House. Today we are seeing a battle between two Labour front benches over who should actually have credit for this bill, when this is a serious bill. And I'd like to pay tribute to the Select Committee that actually looked at this bill and went through all the arguments in a very fair and reasonable way. And it was very well led, I must admit, through the committee stages, and I think Mr. Clark should take a lot of credit for the way that he actually approached the bill, unlike other members of the Labour Party here today that are trying to make mischief while one of their members is out of the country, and it is a shame that they will do that.
Order. Can I just remind the member it is out of order to refer to someone being absent from the chamber. All of us have to take time from the chamber sometimes.
Yeah. Yes, I understand that. Mr. Clark, he's just been here his first term, and I think it's disappointing that you do that to a first-term member and try and take the credit away from him, and so that's a bit of a shame.
The member cannot bring you into debate, and he just did.
No, you're absolutely right. You can't bring the Speaker into the debate. I call the Honourable Member.
Just to people listening, I think it's disappointing that we're talking about a serious bill here, and the Labour Party, for the first couple of minutes of my speech, have been attacking the National Party around about who is actually in control of that bill. And I think that's very disappointing from the Labour Party. Now, when we have a look at this bill, this is a bill that we understand the arguments on both sides of. There are good arguments on both sides for this bill, and nobody denies the important role that holidays play in the working life of people, to give them the chance to spend time with their friends and family and the community. And we have very special days in New Zealand that are represented by holidays. And traditionally, you have the statutory holidays, the 11 basic public holidays, which are very important to our culture and our community. We also have the annual holidays that are available to New Zealanders as well. And so if you look at New Zealand, you have public holidays, you have the 11 public holidays and the 20 minimum annual paid leave. If you go to another country like, for example, the United States, they have 10 public holidays and they have 0 minimum annual paid leave. So New Zealand has a very generous system, and nobody would hold that against the New Zealand community or workers or anybody involved in the system. And I think the holidays that we're talking about today, with Waitangi Day and Anzac Day, are especially special days because they represent very strong parts of our history and our country going forward. And I think nobody takes that away from those very special days. And so this is not an attack on workers, as the Labour Party would try and portray. It is far from that. This is not a situation, as Mr. Robertson has tried to indicate, saying that the National Party doesn't support workers. That's not the case. This is a case where the National Party likes to take into account the full circumstances around this issue. And one of the big circumstances that I think people need to be aware of in this debate is the actual effect of this bill. In 2015 there will be one day, in 2016 there will be another day, and then there will be nothing till 2020. So the effect of this bill is very remote in the extreme. This is not a big bill that's going to deliver for New Zealand workers or for the New Zealand community. This is not a bill of the consequence that the Labour Party tries to portray. And it's a bit sad that they even have to fight over a bill that doesn't have that consequence either. This bill, the next time it will be effective will be in 2015, and that will be with Anzac Day, and then in 2016 with Waitangi Day. And then workers will have to wait till 2020 for the next Anzac Day. So this bill doesn't have a lot of effect on New Zealand workers. And so what are you saying, Trevor?
Order. Order.
So Mr Mallard wants to add more days. Well, this bill doesn't add more days. It indicates that these days, we're not taking them up. Mr Mallard's saying we're taking them away. That's just not the case. We've been through this before with Mr Mallard about getting the facts right, and it's simply not the case that anything's been taken away. In New Zealand, we value the role that our public holidays have in our community and in our country. We understand the importance of them. This is the National Party, by not voting for this bill, is not an attack on workers' rights. This is merely that we represent that there are some other issues involved in this bill, and for me, one of the big issues involved in this bill is that it has limited effect. Until 2020, to see any effect isn't a big thing. It's a bit like the Labour Party and their superannuation policy. That won't have any effect till 2025, will it? That was their last superannuation policy. The new one might be interesting to see how that actually pans out. But this bill does not have a large effect in the immediate future, and that's a shame for this House. Now, when we actually went through it in Select Committee, there were a number of submissions in favour of this bill, and I'd like to thank those submitters for coming in the way that they did their submissions, and I'd like to thank the variety of submitters we had as well. We had numerous submissions, and there was a lot of arguments made around different sort of issues in the bill. And one of the big issues is the actual cost of the potential holiday, and that is something that there was some debate within the Select Committee around that cost. Because the cost indicated that there's always a financial cost if you're granting a holiday, but then there were arguments made that there is actually a financial gain too for the potential spending in such things as the tourism community and such like. And those are valid arguments that were put up, and the Select Committee considered them at length and came to very good conclusions around them. Mr Speaker, this bill is a good start by Mr Clark in his political career. It's a bill that he has portrayed and built through this House, and we commend him for that. Unfortunately, though, this bill has some issues with it, and it doesn't have a large effect in the immediate future, and that's why it's a bit sad that the Labour Party are pinning their hopes on this bill. There are other ways that we can address these issues, and I recommend to the House that this bill is something that we should consider, but unfortunately at this stage the National Party will not be voting for this bill, Mr Speaker.
I call the honourable